It being 6:02 PM on Tuesday, April 16th, and a quorum being present, I'll call to order the Charter Review Committee. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Welcome back, Michelle. I hope you had a wonderful vacation. We certainly missed you, but it was nice to have a night off too. I'm gonna start with the meeting minutes. Now, we received these today. Do folks feel prepared to review them, or do we want to wait until our next meeting and do both sets of minutes? I'll leave it to the committee. Is there anything to adjust, amend, add, delete? Is there a motion to approve the minutes as they are?
So moved.
A second.
A motion by Mr. Kaiser and a second by Ms. Votrain. And quick review, it appears that Ms. Cavaco and Mr. Costello are both absent this evening. Therefore, I'll note at the top that Mr. Bulletin and Mr. Hanlon will be serving as full members in their capacity as alternates. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Hearing and seeing none, Mr. Bulletin,
Yes.
Mr. Hanlon,
Same.
Mr. Hutchinson,
Abstain.
Mr. Lawler,
Abstain.
Mr. Levin,
Yes.
Mr. Pizer,
Yes.
Ms. Votrain,
Yes.
Mr. Zubaroli,
Yes.
and I vote yes, the motion carries with 6 in favor and 3 abstentions. All right. That takes care of that. I do see that we have one member of the public online. Mr. Donato, do you have any public comment to share with us tonight?
No, thank you.
Thank you for being here as always. We'll move on to our discussion items. All right, so Rob's gonna pull up the charter in just a moment. Michelle, can you make sure that he's a host so that he can share the screen? I'll also note that it's nice to have you in the room,
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk. So tonight we're gonna be reviewing chapter 5. I put the entirety of chapter 5 on here. I know that's ambitious. Especially given how we are want to have great and philosophical discussions about many of the elements of the charter, but I think we can get through some good work here tonight. Give me some technical difficulties with that as well. All right, I'm gonna pull up the charter on my end, while Rob's getting set up. You'll just bear with me, folks. I'll take this opportunity while we're doing this as well to do a little bit of old business, if folks don't mind.
That's fine.
Hearing no objection. I did touch base with the town council regarding the questions we had from our last meeting in chapter 4. We've not been able to connect in person to go over the questions. We are working on a time which I hope to have set up and dispensed with prior to our next meeting. At which point we can revisit those items. But for now, those items are on hold. All right, I have my version of the charter here. It is a PDF, which I'll bring up. We won't have the benefit of seeing edits as we go through until Rob gets his end situated. But I'll bring it up for now, just so that we can all look at the same thing. All right. Where are we? So chapter 5 concerns elections in the town of Plymouth. 5-1-1 states, zoom just a little more. The regular election for all town officers shall be held by official ballot, held on the third Saturday of May of each year. Is there any desire to make any amendments to 5-1-1?
Not sure it's English, but I could leave it alone. That held seems in a funny place.
The regular election for all town offices shall be by official ballot
Oh,
held.
okay, so that's, yes, it's English, but it's bad English.
Yeah, it's, all
But the heck with it.
right, hearing and seeing none, go down to 5-1-2. The
Dave,
order, yep,
sorry, did we not talk at one time about, didn't the town manager tell us when we had the joint session about moving town meeting and the town election around because of getting the cherry sheet from the state? I don't know if that's appropriate here, but did we have?
I think he talked about the town meeting specifically. There was some discussion as to how the town election might impact that and what kind of town meeting you would want to constitute. But I don't think he was advocating for moving the election in our joint meeting. Unless someone recalls differently. A lot of head shaking in the room. Okay. Are you ready?
I'm up, but I can't share.
Okay, do you want me to unshare?
Um,
Maybe that will do it.
Either way, somebody needs to make me a host.
Michelle, can you make Rob a host? There you go.
All right.
All right, let's see. It's like this is our first time doing this again. All right. Rob is up and running. All right. Make that bigger. I think it's my end, Rob. Here we go. All right. 5-1-2 says the order in which names of candidates shall appear on election ballots for any office, including that of representative town meeting member, shall be determined by drawing by lot conducted by the town clerk, which shall be open to the public. Notifications to the candidates and to the public shall be by publication in a local newspaper during the week preceding the week in which the day of the drawing is to take place. The ballot shall identify candidates seeking re-election with the phrase "candidate for re-election" placed next to the candidate's name. Mr. Hamlin.
So, the words shall be by publication in a local newspaper.
We don't have a local newspaper.
I guess that's the way it's always been for 400 years, but,
Well, it's mostly to, I mean, somebody just made the point that we don't have a local paper. And it's vague like this, so that you could go to Quincy and get a local paper. I mean, it has to be published, whatever is the closest.
local to, yeah, it could be New
Yeah,
York, there's nothing in between.
Just have to have a public notice.
Okay, so, you know, I used to read the OCM, I haven't had it for several years, I don't even know if they still print it, do they still print it? Yeah. But it's,
Are they online only now?
No,
No, the OCM is still printed, but it's.
that's because
USA
they make their
Today.
money with
Yeah.
notices.
So I don't even know if maybe this is all a moot point, that does the Plymouth Independent count as a publication in a local newspaper?
Probably,
They could, they're an LLC, right?
But but not everyone has access to it. Whereas a newspaper, people have access.
Right.
I thought that everybody did.
No, if you don't have a computer, you don't have access to the independent.
Well, yeah.
Well, let me ask this question.
So not everyone has access.
Mr. Pizer,
yes,
what does Mass General Law say about how candidates should be positioned on the ballot?
Oh, this is not yet there.
No, I know.
Oh, yeah,
but
it
I'm
doesn't say, it says alphabetical unless otherwise stated in the charter.
Okay, why would we change that?
What,
Well, that-
why don't we
Hold
just,
on, hold on, Len, I'll come to you in a second. Go ahead, Larry.
I want to join, Mr. Hanlon's perplexity at the, publication in a local newspaper. This section is a rather recent addition to the charter, but not so
During
recent.
your clerkship?
Oh, God, yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm, 10 years maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, what is this section?
The section, 5-1-2.
Oh,
Do you
the
know
whole
why
thing.
they did that?
Yeah, there was a determination probably by Mr. Zuparoli that alphabetical order was a questionable practice.
Reverse alphabetical order.
But not, not to be serious about this, that was their rationale.
Mm.
And what they determined was that there should be a choosing by lot, by the clerk. It was the case that the Old Colony Memorial still existed, and was moderately widely read. It is no longer the case for that, and, the fact is that what we're trying to accomplish is we're trying to figure out how the name should go on the ballot. Why anyone would question the town clerk and the town clerk's ability to do this in a fair way, where the town clerk has an awful lot of responsibilities for which we trust the person in the office. Seems to me that leaving the part out about publication in a local newspaper, leave it open to the public. You can say, post it in the, both libraries and town hall and online. But the part about a local newspaper is a mistake.
So could we say shall be made public during the week preceding?
I think we could say that it has to be posted in the same manner as all the legal notices. If you want it posted at all, that would be the simplest way of doing it, that it be placed in both libraries, town hall, and on the town
I'll
website.
tell you, I've gone to 2 of the last 3 years worth, including this year, when I didn't have to at all. But I was the only one who showed up to both of them.
Sure.
Both of them, the two.
You're the only one who what?
Showed up to view it. I'm gonna go to Mr. Levinson and then back to you, Mike.
Levinson, yeah, remember?
why do we have this? Why can't it just be alphabetical and the luck of the draw?
I agree, and speaking as someone who falls in the middle of the alphabet, Mr. Levinson and I fall pretty.
Levin.
Oh, Levin. I'm adding some to your name.
Do so.
I know, right? Len, I agree with you. You fall in the middle of the alphabet. I fall near the beginning of the 7th letter of the alphabet. And I don't see why we need to do this any other way than alphabetical. But I appreciate that others may have a different opinion.
It's
Mike and then Mark.
Well, there's a bunch of things going on in this paragraph. One is the order of the candidates. I was focusing on this notification. So this notification is about the drawing of the name.
Right.
Not about who won the drawing or whatever. It's only, that's such a mundane, seems to me a minor issue that we ought to dispense with the local publishing in the local newspaper and just put it on the town website.
It's not.
Again, not everyone has access to a computer, not everyone has a computer, so if we're gonna change it at all, notification to the candidates and to the public shall notification to the candidates and to the public shall be made during the week preceding the week during the week preceding the week in which the day of the drawing is to take place. If the only thing that needs to happen is that it needs to be made public, then.
So
it needs
you're
to be made
leaving the
public.
mode of publishing it.
So,
Hold on. I have Martha, then I have Larry, I'll take you, Joe.
Is it my turn?
Yep.
I would like to speak in favor of the drawing of lots. I have heard multiple people over the years tell me when I don't know who to vote for, I just take the first name and the alphabet. If the names are by alphabet, that is a detriment. So I really do support the drawing by lot. And I think that we should include the notification, and exclude the newspaper part of it. And if it's common practice, like Larry said, for the clerk to use, as you mentioned, the libraries and town hall and our website, I think that covers the bases. And does that cover it from your point of view, Robert?
Well, I think, yeah, shall be made public. We've run into this in our conversations before where we start to create lists. And when you start to create lists, you're bound to leave something out. So if notification needs to be made to the public, then the town clerk has the discretion as to where they can make notification, whether they do it here at the library, at the post office. I mean, as long as it's made public, then it's made public. I would also support the drawing by lot. Leaving that in.
Larry?
Okay, as far as I'm concerned, the only issue that we need to decide in this is the drawing by lot. And I have to tell you, having served for 30 years in the position, that the town clerk does a lot of things where the town clerk's judgment and ethical standing is required. Birth certificates, death certificates, marriage certificates can mean millions of dollars to various people, and the town clerk does not invite the general public to observe those. There is absolutely no need for the general public to watch this done. Honest to Pete, it was when they say drawing out of a hat, I brought my hat in. And we cut up pieces of paper with numbers on them and just pulled numbers out of the hat. So, and David is correct. No one, with like one exception in occasional years, actually showed up to see this done. So leaving, if we want to have it done by lot, a period after by the town clerk would make the process entirely clear and entirely fair. As far as the last sentence is concerned, before we lose it entirely, that's state law. There's no need for that to be there.
So I actually spoke with the town clerk maybe a week or so ago, and she suggested that we should take this out and follow general laws. I just texted her to see if she's in the building and would come and attest to that. In the meantime, I have Joe, I have Len, I have Mike, then I have Steve. So, Joe, you're up.
I was gonna, just what Martha said.
Okay, Len.
Yeah, but I'll counter that. So if it's alphabetical or lottery, they're still gonna pick the first person. So it doesn't make it any better a chance that person's gonna get picked. I mean, you're trying to, we tend to do things in rules and laws to change human behavior. You can't do that. You can't do that. So if I was running and my name got picked number one, does that mean they're gonna vote for me versus voting for somebody that started with an A? I don't think it makes any difference, but you know what? That's just my opinion.
Mike, then Steve, then Martha.
So I guess the point I would make about the being open to the public You know, it seems to me the political world that we live in these days, people don't have faith in elections. They think elections are stolen. And, you know, it's not impossible to imagine if it was if it was not an open selection of the candidates, if we stuck with the lottery or the drawing by lot, that somebody could question the veracity of the town clerks, you know, nobody was there, I don't trust you. It's just the political world we live in. And, so to me, open it to the public makes some sense.
And
Whether anybody shows up or
in
not.
contrast, though, if we eliminate this drawing altogether, then we don't have to worry about it, we just follow the law. I did hear from the clerk, she's gonna come, Kelly's gonna come up in the next, 3 to 5 minutes, so, we can certainly ask her questions on this. In the meantime, Steve?
This is a codification of a little political theater, is basically what it is. I showed up the 2 times that I ran for picture purposes only. So I don't see this as being a real necessity as far as being a public act. I understand the idea of not doing this as an alphabetical thing, just because it creates some measure of an appearance of trying to break things up and avoiding uniformity and regularity by arguing, oh, I'm just gonna pick the first person anyway, so I should make sure that under those circumstances, I always change my name to an A at the end, you know. So I don't have a problem with the drawing, but I echo Mr. Peiser's sentiments. There's no reason this needs to be a big public event. I think it can very simply be done by the clerk's office. And that's that. I don't think I understand the transparency, but really, what kind of transparency is there or not there with respect to a hat and 3, 4, 5, 6 candidate drawings for, you're spending a lot of time for a clerk to do this. And as I recall, actually, when the clerk did it, and I've been there, and I've only been there for the first couple, no one stuck around to watch all of the town meeting members.
But she goes through that
But she does do it.
for all 18 precincts.
Yeah, absolutely.
She did a drawing for the selectmen. There was only one name that this year. So because we have it in our chart, she has to do it for everything. So that's why I think we should just follow the general law, but Martha?
I'm thinking about when we are presenting this finished product at some point, fall town meeting, to town meeting members, and of course, it'll be before that, and people will be looking at the changes. And I would rather not have to argue about why we changed a lot here, for instance. So I do not support basically changing it, except for the part of where it would be the notification, that part that we already talked about.
You mean the.
That it wouldn't be in the, you know, we would let the town clerk notify the candidates in, like you mentioned, Robert. In other words, if there would be a period, that notification of the candidates, I can't remember exactly what we said. And it's,
Taking a local.
I said, take out local newspaper and just
Yeah.
state that it should be made public.
right,
That's the question,
exactly.
Mr. Peiser, because he'll possibly remember it.
It-
Why on earth was there a separation on notification to the candidates and to the public? Was there ever a separate notification? Did the clerk's office call the candidates and say, we're doing this, but then otherwise just send it out in the newspaper to the rest of the electors?
Yeah, no, that, I think, I didn't go to all of their meetings, but I think they were saying. The idea was that the candidates might want to see this, and there might be some members of the public that want to see it. And that's why they spelled it out. They could have easily just said notification and left out who's being notified. But, yeah.
Our current town clerk, Kelly McKellar, has joined us. Thank you for being here, Kelly. We're talking about 5-1-2 to throw you right into the fire.
Okay.
You and I had a conversation a couple weeks ago about elections and drawings.
Yep.
And I wanted to have you speak to that,
Okay.
the drawing of names.
So we drew the names whatever day it was, last week with all the and I notify the candidates. We literally take a piece of paper. Larry can talk about it better than I can, because I've never had to do that in the past. I would like to phrase, I think, well, it's really what the pleasure of the review committee, if you want to continue to make it generic, where anyone could be the top person, because there's that feeling out there, the top candidate, you get more votes or something. If you feel like you need to continue that, I would say instead of, it says random drawing, but I'm sure there's a program that I don't actually have to be pulling pieces of paper out of a box, that I can find some type of software that I can throw all the names in, and it would randomly give me the names on the order of that. That would be something that I would. So candidates wouldn't actually be watching, like I would let them know that this is when I'm doing it, and maybe do it on a laptop and a display in the lobby, but at the same time, make it random like that.
Would you be in favor of eliminating this and just simply following Mass General Law?
Oh, absolutely. I didn't know, because, it's really, it's candidates for reelection based on advertised by last name.
Yeah, that is true. The reelection first, and then alphabetical by reelection, and then alphabetical by people who aren't in office. What if we agreed to leave it by law, but simply said to help to make it easier for Kelly, shall be determined by lot.
So let me do this. So Kelly, would your preference be to simply eliminate this and follow the Mass General Law?
Yes.
Okay. Hearing the clerk's preference, and actually we have a member of the public who'd like to speak on this as well, Mr. DiNardo.
Mr. Chairman, Al DiNardo, town meeting member, I'll be very quick. You could do the research yourself. Ballot position does matter. I've been involved in local elections more than 35 years. I would rather be on the top of the ballot. Just for instance, say take precinct 18. Who's in precinct 18? Vote. You have 3 votes. 10 people are running. I don't know any of those names. The first position, I would rather be in first position. You have a lot of new people in town. The ballot says vote for 3 only. Well, chances are you're going to vote for the first 3 out of the 10. So in my history is you would always vie to want to be first, and that's why we do a lottery. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DiNardo. Let me ask this of the committee. Without this being an official vote, who would be in favor of eliminating 5-1-2? All right, so we're gonna keep the lottery process. In terms of how that plays out, could you just reiterate how you'd see it working, Kelly?
I would continue to do it the way I've done it the last 2 years, but that being said, if I can find some type of software that if I threw a bunch of names in it and it spit out to me a random order, a random selection or random order of names, rather than actually literally pulling out names, because you've got, at least usually 6 positions townwide, and depending on how many people are running, that's a good 10 to 15 names you're pulling out, and then you've got 18 different precincts where you're pulling out hopefully at least 3 different names, if not more. So, it gets to be like you're pulling out we put them in order and then I took a video of how the order was in case anybody questioned it. But that's what I'm thinking, that if we could do something that states that if I could find at low cost or no cost to the town, some type of software program that if I threw it in there, that was
The software exists, we use it, there's free versions around. I wouldn't recommend using a free version, but I know the software exists because we use it for school.
You can
Yeah.
randomize it, so.
Yeah.
It's called, random name picker.
yeah.
There's
Len, go ahead.
There's places on the internet, there's nothing wrong with those. I mean, it's random. It's been around for eons, randomizers. I mean, this is,
So
I just looked up a place called random.org. You put the names in, you hit go, and it gives, it sorts the list.
Right, and I
I
could
don't think you have
definitely
to
do.
buy anything.
Oh, sorry. And I could definitely do that, yeah, but, throw it in and, have it all set up and then probably just hit submit and then it shoots out the names and that's what candidates can watch.
So if this were to say, the order in which names of candidates appear on the ballot,
I would say the local election ballot.
on the local election ballot. Do you wanna transcribe as we go? So the order in which names of candidates appear on the local election ballot.
Ballots, because
Ballots.
there might be a time that you have a special election, so
Okay.
the same rule would apply, that's why you wouldn't wanna put annual.
I think the rest of this information, this for any office, comma including is superfluous. So I would delete the words for through the comma after town meeting member. Shall be determined, and then delete the words a drawing. Or by a drawing.
I think if you just do by lottery, that way it
Yeah.
could either be the random or the picking of the names out of the box.
Or you could just say random
Not
selection.
by lottery.
You need to log.
Yeah, Joe,
Like that,
by
random selection.
random selection, that gives them much more flexibility.
By random selection. I think just by lot, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, is lot, lottery and random selection, aren't they all the same?
Yep.
Yep.
By lot. Conducted by the town clerk.
Well, the sense of it is random.
Yeah. That's,
Yeah, but I don't think we need to add the word random when
Redundant.
lot itself is random.
I think, can we take out notification to the candidates?
yeah.
Yeah, we're working on that.
And not by publication in the local newspaper?
Right.
Because
Which shall be open to the public. I think we keep which shall be open to the public.
right, but I take out,
Yeah, and then
Take out
delete the
that.
notification sentence.
well, I'll notify the candidates. But I won't publish it in the local newspaper.
So
Okay.
notification to the candidates and to the public shall be made.
The reason that we have the issue is because we don't want it to be notification to some, but not all. Either it's no notification or it's universal notification.
Aren't the candidates members of the public?
Mhm.
Yep.
So,
So let's put this way, you can take it out of the charter, but my process would be to notify people when they do.
Fine.
so
Yeah.
So notification, I would take out, to the candidates and. Because candidates are members of the public, so I just want to streamline this, this is a very wordy and very messy process. So delete the words, to, through and. So notification to the public shall be
Made.
made
I just,
by the town clerk.
so Steve, can you amplify your voice about the public? I agree, but we are working on this transparency and Kelly, you answered, the phrase was referenced earlier about the lack of trust in the election process overall. And while I personally, sided with Mr. Pizer in the sense that this is a ministerial task that we should simply trust the clerk's office to do. There is the other reality of presenting this to town meeting and having the town meeting members. And I'm not going to characterize town meeting members in any particular way, but I'm just gonna say the public in general as well, having this generalized sense saying, oh my God, they're hiding something from us. Once you take this away, you're hiding something from us. We don't really wanna open that Pandora's box at this point. But if we give you the ability to determine how you, in carrying out your ministerial duties, choose to notify the public, I think that's appropriate. I think-
Yeah, and that's fine. I think I posted it on the website, but I definitely sent an email to other candidates. But any emails that I have, including town meeting members.
In the spirit of what you just said, Steve, I would also take out during the week, preceding the week. That language is just so messy. in this.
Absolutely agree with you.
I think, we can trust the clerk to create advance notice, and if we even wanna put, advance in front of the word notification. I don't think it's necessary, but I think we can trust the clerk to, I would just delete the remainder of the sentence. And then Kelly, a question for you, do we need to have this remaining sentence, the ballot shall identify candidates seeking re-election?
No, I believe that's state law.
It is, so we can use that as well.
Can we or should we?
Two clerks in one room agree.
All right, let's leave that sentence. All right, so 5-1-2 would now read, the order in which names for candidates appear on the local election ballots shall be determined by lot conducted by the town clerk, which shall be open to the public. Notification to the public shall be made by the town clerk.
I think we're getting, to Mr. Hanlon's point earlier, notification, you really need to explain what the notification of, because that could also mean notification of the results rather than notification of the, what used to be the drawing.
Notification
Of the drawing.
of the lot.
Yeah, because it's not a drawing anymore, we've taken that phrase out, and I understand that. From a practical standpoint, because again, it may not be a drawing, it may be a computer.
But that to me goes back to what David said. It could be the end result of the lot or does
Which
it,
is
we
what?
want it to be the notification of the lot
Of the event.
occurring.
Of the event, correct.
So how do we say that?
Well,
It's.
the result is the ballot.
Well,
So I don't know that.
I understand, but what if we, again, instead of saying by lot, we did talk about using the word lottery. Because that's still.
Right,
also-
whether we change, whether we have the word lot or lottery,
Well, notification of the lot seems confusing. I agree, but if you said notification of the lot, if we change it to lottery, lottery in the public's mind signifies an event rather than just a.
notification of the date of the lot. The date, time, and place of the lot.
Of the ordering? No?
I don't,
Okay.
Why don't we just say by lottery?
yeah.
But I think it's the same,
Of the lot.
it's the same, like, are we talking about we can replace the word lot, but we're still gonna have the problem of, are we talking about the lottery event, or are we talking about the outcome of the lottery? We're gonna just keep having this philosophical lottery, so do me a favor, put in, between the words the and lot, please put date, time, and place. I will note that Ms. McElrath nodded her head when I said that, of the lot. All right,
Just before we finish, Kelly, I'm trying to think. There are some questions that can go on the state ballot.
Mhm.
I don't remember that there can be candidates on the state ballot.
No.
Okay.
No, because the nomination times is the state needs to know by August if
I know,
there's something that's going
but I
on the
don't
state.
think- I don't-
And you can't do nomination papers that far in advance.
Yeah.
Is there someone who would make a motion to amend 5-1-2 to read the order in which names of candidates shall appear on the local election ballots shall be determined by lot conducted by the town clerk, which shall be open to the public. Notification of the date, time, and place of the lot to the public shall be made by the town clerk.
Oh, wait a second. Bylaw, I don't know, which, what, which shall be open to the public? The
So that
order,
should go,
I don't think we have it yet.
all right, so then we should be saying,
That shall be open to the public.
Conducted by the town clerk publicly.
hold on.
Take it all out and just say publicly.
Or we could say by lot, comma, which shall be open to the public, comma,
Right.
conducted by the town clerk.
Right?
Yep, and
Yes.
then we delete the, which shall be open to the public in that sentence. Yep, right where you are. Okay. The order in which the names of candidates appear on the local election ballots shall be determined by lot, which. Hold on, where?
Which shall be.
Which shall be public.
Which shall be public,
Conducted by the town clerk, period. Notification of the date, time, and place of the lot to the public shall be made by the town clerk, period.
So you're kind of talking about the public twice. I don't think you need, maybe, but shall be determined by the town clerk. Public notification of the date, time, and place of the lot to the public shall be made by the town clerk.
I think we should get rid of this and follow Mass General Law.
No, we're
This is
doing a good
absurd.
job.
So again, go back, the order in which the names appear on the local ballots shall be determined by law, conducted by the town clerk. Public notification of the date, time, and place of the lot shall be made, or of the lot to the public shall be made by the town clerk.
Well, I don't think you need to just say public notification. The public notification is notification to the public, so we don't need. But I guess the question is, you're taking out the fact that it's open to the public. Do we need to say that, or?
I disagree with all of you tonight, so I'm gonna let you guys figure this out.
I think the reason that we're keeping it is we want people to know that they can show up and do it. They won't,
Yeah,
but we want to know that they want
Then I
to
think,
know that they
then
can.
I think you need to do which shall be open to the public, conducted by the town clerk.
Larry, in your 30 years as town clerk, how many people showed up to this drawing? Or in your 10 years since this?
Yeah, I'm going to say that, an average of one
Okay,
per election.
in your 2 elections, Kelly, how many people?
Well, last year I had a lot of people showed up. Well, last year I probably had 4 people show up, I think.
4 is not a lot when there are
Wow.
It is by-
56 people on the
Well,
ballot,
it is by percentage of our electorate.
62 people on the ballot last year, right? So,
Well, but Kelly actually gave you the phrase, open to the public.
right, I'm saying that we have this in here for absolutely no reason, we should just follow the general law.
So
I don't know if I made that.
Okay, Dave, can I say something?
if Kelly is going to get a computer program,
It's very difficult to have it open to the public, because all I'm gonna do is hit the button, and then it's gonna pop out.
So maybe we don't have to
I
have
think,
that.
I think this whole open to the public is what's causing the problem. I don't have a problem
Yeah, I
with
agree.
ordering by law. I do have, I just don't get why we're making life difficult for us and for the clerk. When the clerk could do much better finagling on a whole bunch of issues if the clerk was so motivated.
Yeah, you can still keep the notification to the
Yeah,
public
oops.
of the date, time, and place of the lot. Yeah, shall
That's
be
how it
made
would-
public, so that way people know that either if they wanna come in and see me do it, it's not, it doesn't have to say it's open to the public, I would make it public, especially if people are questioning the integrity of the election and how it was done, but, yeah.
Rob has a suggested, edit here. Go ahead, take it away, Rob.
The order in which names of candidates appear on the local election ballot shall be determined by lot, which shall be open to the public, conducted by the town clerk. Notification of the date, time, and place of the lot to the public shall be made by the town clerk. The only thing that I would, notification of the date, time, and place of the lot shall be made to the public, period. You don't need to say the town clerk twice because it's redundant.
How about shall be published? Or shall be
Made public.
made public, or
Yeah,
shall be,
that's fine, cause that's vague enough. You,
Yeah.
we trust you.
yeah. You know, it's easier now, like in Larry's time, he had to put it in the newspaper so people would know to come. I collect email addresses when candidates come in, and I just send out a blanket email.
Well, we had a newspaper.
Yeah.
I would, has a motion come up yet?
Hold on, he's still doing his minutes.
Sorry.
Please step on the town hall door.
All right, so now this would say the order of names of candidates, the order in which names of candidates appear on local election ballots shall be determined by lot, which shall be open to the public, conducted by the town clerk. Notification of the date, time, and place shall be made public.
Of the lot shall be made.
So moved.
Mr. Bolton makes the motion
I will second.
and Mr. Pizer seconds. Is there further discussion on this matter?
I have some.
Mr. Levin, go ahead.
It's interesting that we've gone throughout this whole process and talking about simplifying things. And somehow this has become a discussion not about the process, but about distrust. If we don't have this in here, people think we're lying, cheating, and stealing. So why are we all of a sudden changing our focus to refer to what the state law says? I have a concern if you use the word lot, people won't know what you're talking about. I will be judgmental of people, sorry, but I think if you wrote the word lot, the average person doesn't understand that that means a drawing. Just my opinion. Thank you.
Mine too.
Well, what about using lottery?
Would lottery satisfy you, Len?
My satisfaction is just take the whole damn thing out. I'm on Dave. I will defer to whatever you, my esteemed colleagues.
I preferred lottery before.
Mr. Bolton, would you amend your
I'd like
motion to say
amend
lottery?
Say lottery instead of lot.
Okay.
Mr. Pizer, would you maintain your second in that case?
No,
Okay, will someone else second?
I'll second.
Mr. Handler makes the second. Is there further discussion on the matter? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the roll. Mr. Bolton,
Yes.
Mr. Handler,
Yes.
Ms. Cavaco, Mr. Costello are not present. Mr. Hutchinson,
Yeah,
Mr. Waller,
Yes.
Mr. Levin,
No,
Mr. Pizer,
yes.
Ms. Botrain,
Yes,
Mr. Dubreuil,
Yes.
and I vote no as well. The motion carries with 7 in favor and 2 opposed. All right.
It's probably 6.5 to 2.5.
All right, do you want to stick around for elections, Kelly, or do you want to go do other things?
I do have to finish something out. And I wasn't planning on staying. Why, how much more do you have for election? Are you doing it all?
We're doing the whole thing, but
You did the one with Larry.
that was the only item that I recalled you and I discussing when we chatted about this section.
But there's,
Yeah, the 5-4 nomination of candidates for
That's right.
election to representative town meeting. What did you want to do, Larry?
On five,
-4?
five dash four dash one,
Oh,
two, and three, eliminated, it's state law. Just happen to have the state law with me.
What was the vote?
7 in favor to do.
which would.
What's 5-1-2? What's 5-2? Election to be, partisan.
Well, no, it's
Oh.
5-4, it's section 4 that he wants. to
All
take out.
right, so the next one, elections to be nonpartisan, 5-2, I agree with that, I think you should keep that in there.
Still at 5-1.
Yeah, so do you have interest in any others, any other sections? I'm happy to take things out of order while you're here.
Of chapter 5.
All right, so information, we can talk about information below the.
All right, let's keep going. 5-1-3, notwithstanding section 22A of chapter 55 of the general laws, section 21C of chapter 59 of the general laws, or any other general or special law to the contrary. The official ballot in the town of Plymouth shall include a fair and concise summary of any binding or non-binding question to be submitted solely to the voters of the town, along with a one-sentence statement describing the effect of a yes or no vote, both prepared by town council and approved by the select board. Submission to the town clerk of the summary and one-sentence statement shall be governed by section 42C of chapter 54 of the general laws. The select board shall, not less than 7 or more, nor more than 14 days before an election at which a question is to be voted upon, publish the following in a newspaper or of general circulation in the town. The full text of the question, 2, a fair and concise summary of the question, and 3, the one-sentence statement describing the effect of a yes or no vote on the question. Provided, however, that failure to timely publish such information shall not affect the validity of the election. The select board shall also post the full text of the ballot question, the summary, and the one-sentence statement in at least one location in the town or the town's official website, and shall make the same available at each polling place on the day of the election. The town may, by bylaw, require additional posting or publishing of such information, subject to available funds and any other conditions that may be imposed by bylaw. Joe.
So the title is a misnomer. It's about ballot questions, it's not about. It's information for voters incidentally, but it's about ballot questions.
Yeah, I don't think it even needs to have a title, to be honest with you. The other entries in this section don't have a title. The only things that have titles are the subsections, so 5-1 itself is town elections. But 5-1-1 and 5-1-2 don't have any title. I agree with you, Joe.
If I could give a very short history.
Sure.
The red book that we receive for state elections gives a pro and con on questions. And it was actually the Hapgoods, and maybe the League, but particularly the Hapgoods, who believed that the citizens of the town were bereft at not having such a explanation. We actually went to the legislature and got a home rule petition allowing this. And this was the result of that, have the home rule petition having been passed. This is what was placed in the charter. If we're going to keep it, it's probably going to be more work to make any changes. It has worked in the past, I guess.
There is a special law for the town of Plymouth that describes this very process.
Yes.
Leave
But
it.
no, that allows that allows this process. And then this is one of the places where I don't think we want to take this out.
So, Larry, why didn't we just accept the Mass General law that allowed us to do this?
There wasn't one.
I thought there is now.
There might be now, but there's
When was this put in?
10, 15 years ago. It's been a while.
I'll say longer than that. I don't remember it being part of the
We were
league.
there only,
There is a I'm 99% sure there's a Mass General law that you can accept that allows you to do this.
we were the fourth town, fourth municipality with this.
And the only thing that what I would recommend you take out of it is anything that you have to publish in the newspaper.
Yeah, like the second, well,
Okay.
What is the special legislation say? Does it say we have to do it?
I don't, interesting question.
Well, you know, it'd be worth looking up the law that Kelly thinks might be able to override this, because this is uniquely opaque.
I think it's incredibly specific.
Mhm. So one of two things needs to, either we make an adjustment, taking out local newspaper because we don't have one. And go with that, or we leave the whole thing alone and revisit it after we check mass law.
Right.
Since Kelly's here, we can make it work finally. I would be willing to produce a motion to table this until we receive additional.
Well, I don't think we have to have a motion to table it, because we can, if there's no, well, you want to table it because you want to come back to it.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I think that the point about if we can eliminate the newspaper part, that would be.
Can I make you the chair of this?
That I would hope that our present town clerk will do the research.
Excellent.
I will work with.
Lovely. All right, would you make the motion to table 5-1-3 to a future meeting?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. Is there a second?
Yep.
Thank you. Mr. Piper makes the motion, Mrs. Zuparoli seconds. Is there discussion on the matter? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the roll. Mr. Bolton?
Yes.
Mr. Hanlon?
Yes.
Ms. Cavaco and Mr. Costello are not present. Mr. Hutchinson?
Yeah,
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Mr. Levin? Did we lose you, Lynn?
I did, sorry. Yes.
Mr. Piper?
Yes.
Ms. Bostrain?
yes,
Mr. Zuparoli?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. The motion carries unanimously. All right, we'll move on. Kelly, beyond that, is there anything of interest to you so that we can?
Can you just scroll down, because I will admit I don't know it off the top of my head.
Which one?
Just scroll down, like 2 makes sense, 3.
No, there's a problem. It's the very last words by the town clerk. The assistant town clerk can do it, a justice of the peace could do it.
Oh, you're talking about time of taking office. I said section 2, I'm okay with the non-partisan. I
Right.
agree with that.
531. I would suggest that we eliminate the words by the town clerk. The person has to be sworn. There are only certain people who can swear. That's state law. Town clerk will do most of the swearing, but it shouldn't be exclusive.
You agree, Kelly?
Yeah, the assistant does, if I'm not there, the assistant does it.
Okay. Can you make the motion?
I would move that the final 4 words by the town clerk be deleted in section 5-3-1.
Mr. Piper makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Lawler makes the second. Is there further discussion on the matter?
Yes, just a question. I understand that others can do it. I don't know that we want to have justices of the peace randomly. Doesn't it have to be really done, at least by the office of the town clerk? Wouldn't we want to make sure that it's actually done so that you don't want to have a bunch of, I want everybody to come to one place and make sure that it's actually done.
No, there's a requirement that if a justice does swear someone in, the justice must report to the town clerk's office. So I don't think that is likely. I don't think that's a problem. the other people doing it, and we would lose control over it being done.
Yeah.
But it becomes a matter for the town clerk, to know who's been sworn in and who hasn't been sworn in, and if in the investigation, the person said it was a justice of peace, that would be taken care of.
But now I'm getting back to wouldn't it be simpler if we said, you have to, notwithstanding the fact that others may do it, we're saying you have to go and get it done by the office of the town clerk. I'm perfectly fine with having Kelly.
Election officer, right? Someplace in here, we should say that the town clerk is the chief election officer and manages all of these processes.
That's state law.
So don't do that.
I'm just trying to
Got it,
suggest
okay,
that,
that's
to
fine.
make sure that we.
That would be less confusing.
One-stop place.
In all honesty, just putting a period at the end of that office, I think that works fine. Because if they were to go to someone other than myself,
They have to produce
and I don't have I keep a record of anyone that gets sworn in. We have a database of any board, committee, elected officials. And if I don't have a number and I see them at a meeting, I'm gonna look at it and say, what's going on? And they have to produce to me.
And presumably you also reach out to anyone who hasn't
Oh, yeah.
submitted record
Oh, yeah.
as well, so I agree. Mr. Lawler?
I would, I second that because I heard Kelly say herself or the assistant,
Yeah,
and that's why I second that.
Yeah.
It was inclusive just for two.
Right.
I don't like the free-for-all thing.
but no one's I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt
That's okay.
him, but no one's gonna know that except for myself and Larry. Like, we're not gonna publicize, you can go to a JP and get it done. So 99.9999 are gonna come to the office.
Like, puts the guardrails in, that's all I'm saying. So if the guardrails are in there for the town clerk and assistant town clerk, it keeps it within the office, right?
But the state has already provided those guardrails.
Mhm.
We have laws on record to mitigate these things. And if I'm a justice of the peace and my daughter is elected to office, I'm gonna be the one that swears her in. And then I'll let Kelly know that it's been done.
I'm mighty proud of you. But I don't know, I would still like to keep it within Kelly's office.
Kelly doesn't care though.
No, Kelly did say that herself or the assistant.
No, she said,
That
Putting a period at the
we're
end of
able
office.
to do it, but I can see Larry's point that a JP could do it. And if that's the case, it would be the candidate's, ability, responsibility to let me know that the JP did it and get something from the JP. But again, these are elected officials. It's not like boards or committees. So these are elected officials. So there's 54 on every ballot, but then there's, I don't know, 8 more,
Tim, in 30 years, when JPs could swear in people, well, that might not be true. There might have been one or two that happened, but there was no nefarious losing of control. And what Kelly said is absolutely correct, that this list of being sworn in is a very town clerky sort of concern. And if a person said that a JP had done it, that JP is going to report to the town clerk, or it doesn't count.
And it's messed.
and Kelly's gonna reach out if people don't get sworn in, or she doesn't have a record.
Okay,
So it's still controlled by Kelly's office.
okay.
okay, I do need to go, because I was not expecting to.
Thanks, Kelly.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
Kelly.
Let me know if you have any other questions. I'd be happy to talk to Larry about any other questions that you came.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I think you made the motion and Mr. Lawler seconded,
Yeah,
thank you. Is there any further discussion? Mike,
We're voting on
5-3-1,
and removing by the town clerk.
correct.
Okay.
Hearing and seeing no further discussion, I'll call the roll. Mr. Bolton,
Yes.
Mr. Hanlon,
Yes.
Ms. Kavako, Mr. Costello are not here, Mr. Hutchinson,
Yes,
Mr. Lawler,
Yes.
Mr. Levin,
Yes,
Mr. Pilar,
Yes.
Ms. Bochardt.
yes,
Mr. Zuccarelli,
Yeah,
and I vote yes as well. The motion carries unanimously. Excellent. All right. Just very quickly, 5-2-1 says all town elections shall be nonpartisan. And election ballots for town offices shall be printed without any party mark, emblem, vignette, or designation whatsoever. Does anyone wish to change that?
Mhm.
Kelly said we shouldn't. Excellent, let's move on. 5-3-2, elected town meeting members shall present themselves within 30 days of the election to the office. Within 30 days of the election, to the office of the town clerk for administering the oath of office or make alternate arrangements with the town clerk. Failure to comply with the previous sentence shall result in a vacancy. An election official cannot act in any capacity until the oath of office is taken. This to me seems to be that there was a rash of town meeting members at some point in time who would just not show up for the oath of office. So I wonder if we further amend 5-3-1 to add a time frame and then eliminate 5-3-2. Because 5-3-1 covers all officials, yes? Elected officials? Can you scroll back up, Rob?
Yeah, but. I like the theory, but in practice, I don't believe that there's ever been a problem with townwide officials. Taking their oath. The problem that we faced is that there is a. Requirement in this charter that says that there be a caucus. Within, I forget how many days, 30 or 20 or something after the election, and multiple. Town meeting representatives would show up at these caucuses and vote. And this was to clarify that.
I think this is one of those things that we need to leave.
I think we did change the caucuses to 20 days though. In advance, after the election, I think we changed the COPC reorganization to 30 days after the election. So I think we need to change this at least to say 15 days, or I guess you could do 20 days to match it, but.
Well, the other problem came, and this, we've never had a situation in which a select board member was elected. Oh, yes, we did. We've had situations in which town meeting members were elected to office by write-in and then didn't show up. And this clarified that they're gone. You know, they have, you get in touch with them by legal means. And if they don't show up, then they're gone. But I think that your concern of 20 days or 30 days, it says that an elected official cannot act in any capacity to the oath of office is taken. If a town meeting representative is planning to go to the caucus, he can't vote in the caucus. So one would assume that he's going to figure that out and get it in less than 30 days if the caucus is.
Right, but you've been to caucuses, Larry. Does anyone say you can't vote because you haven't been sworn?
You know how big Dale Weber is.
And that was just recorded.
So I think that there is, I think we should just at least match it to the deadline of the caucus.
Yes.
Because we don't want people to show up to their caucus, whether, and not having been sworn in and engage in votes and then get sworn in 2 days later. So I think we should make the time limit 20 days and if you don't get sworn in, you're out.
Okay.
Well, technically under that, it says you're not out. It says failure to comply shall result in a vacancy. And then it says an elected official cannot act in any capacity until the oath of office is taken. Which would suggest that if they then subsequently take the oath of office, then they can come back.
No, once there's a vacancy, they're gone.
This is again, just formalities. I understand the point, but we're combining multiple different sections in
Yeah, I also think that I think that, an elected official cannot act in any capacity is handled in the town meeting members. I think this is, for the town meeting members who are not highly invested in the process. I think it's just simply telling them, you can't act until you've taken a note. So I would also be fine taking that sentence out entirely.
Yeah, that's the sentence that confuses, but I think it's confusion.
And it's state law,
It's self-evident.
You can't-
It should be self-evident.
you can't take action until you've taken it. So, can we do this, Rob?
So 30 goes
30
to 20.
And take out the last sentence.
Yep.
So 5-3-2 would now read, elected town meeting members shall present themselves within 20 days of election to the office of the town clerk for the administering of the oath of office, or make alternate arrangements with the town clerk. Failure to comply with the previous sentence shall result in a vacancy. Welcome back.
Yeah, I'm walking out the door, but I figured since I came up the stairs. 20, so what are we talking about, the 20 days?
Yeah, so we moved caucuses, post-election caucuses to
Yeah.
20 days.
Okay,
Because we moved the reorganization of the COPC to 30 days after the election.
okay, so that makes
So
sense,
we're just aligning the date at which people have to appear to you,
yeah,
to 20 days, for the oath to 20 days.
Or make their alternate arrangement.
Yeah. Yeah. I would take out the alternate arrangement too, but. Yeah,
No, the people out of town.
yeah.
okay, yeah, no, we're good with that.
Cool. See you, Kelly.
Hi.
Hi, Kelly.
Maybe you can work on that.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Is there someone who would make the motion?
I will.
Mr. Zuccaroli makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second,
Mr. Lawler makes a second. Is there further discussion on the matter? Mr. Levin,
Is the word at the end vacancy too ambiguous? Does that mean that they got elected, but because they didn't get sworn in, they really didn't get elected?
Yeah, if the word vacancy means the election is null.
yeah,
Okay. All right, as long
cool.
as that's clear. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Mr. Bolton,
Yes.
Mr. Hanlon,
Yeah,
Ms. Kavako, and Mr. Costello are not present. Mr. Hutchinson,
Yes.
Mr. Lawler,
yes.
Mr. Levin,
Yes,
Mr. Piper,
Yes.
Ms. Votrain,
Yes,
Mrs. Zuccaroli,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. 3 in a row of unanimous votes. Okay. Moving on to section 4, Mr. Pizer, the floor is yours.
Well, I hope no one will take the fact that it says 4/16/2024 at 4:07 PM to think that that was the first time I thought about this matter. If you read section 4, nomination of candidates for election to representative town meeting, and then you read 43A, section 6. It is simply a restatement of 43A, section 6. And therefore, we have generally, when state law says one thing, we have to follow state law, and this is simply a reiteration of state law. So I would recommend that we eliminate section 4 in its entirety.
Should we just keep the last sentence? Which is the date of filing of those? Because I know that's actually not in.
No,
43A.
that's also in state law.
turn the light on so you can see, nobody can see. Yeah, don't worry about that right now, don't worry about that right now. I'll show you where it is.
Len, you might want to mute yourself.
Not later than 21 days prior to the last day, an hour for filing of nomination
That
papers.
comes, the,
That's not.
state law is it in describing dates. Establishes a date and then goes backwards from the date, and no normal human being can figure out what it is, but that piece is the same as the description that we have. Had a somewhat interesting discussion with Mr. Hutchinson. And this is something, somewhat, yeah. This is something that I think, since people are going to want to run for office, this is something that would go into the user guide. You know, how to do Plymouth.
Would you make a motion?
I would move to delete section 4 of chapter 5.
Is there a second?
Larry, you're talking about 4-1, 4-2, 4-3.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I'll second it.
Mr. Boggs makes a motion, Mr. Levin seconds. Is there further discussion on the matter?
Yes,
Go ahead, Steve.
I'm just trying to look at the dates, so it says that papers shall be signed by not less than 10 voters, good, that's again. Shall be filed with the town clerk at least 10 days before the election, or in towns which have accepted section 103A of chapter 54 within the time provided by section 10 of chapter 53. I'm sorry, I don't have my statutes here in front of me, so I'm.
Basically, what this says is you take the town election, and I believe it's seven weeks out is when the registrars have to submit. The registrars don't actually do checking of signatures, but technically it's their responsibility. And that's what chapter 53, section 10 is dealing with. It's just a matter of the timing of it. And we have accepted that.
So we have accepted 103A.
Yeah.
Of chapter 54.
Yep.
And so then we use the time provided by section 10 of chapter 53.
This is simply confirming the present schedule.
Right, no, well. That will be a question for people to ask as to what's going on, but that's fine. Again, I'm just trying to, before voting, I want to understand exactly what I'm voting on in terms of
I'm with you.
the scheduling and what our statutes say, because I'm.
Would you like me to read 103A of 54?
Sure.
So section 103A of Mass General Law, chapter 54 states, sections 86 to 103 Q.
Yeah.
Inclusive of this chapter, sections 21 and 27 of chapter 56, and sections 34A and 37A of chapter 53 shall, so far as applicable, apply to special and regular city primaries, primary elections, and to town primaries, preliminary elections, and elections whether special or regular, and to special and regular regional vocational school district elections, including elections called to authorize bond issues for said districts. It shall not apply to caucuses wherein official ballots. Yeah, yeah.
No, I'm already lost.
Hold on one
Would
second.
it scare you to know that I actually am following this?
Yeah, it doesn't really.
It's not gonna tell you anything, that's and then you
Yeah.
move to chapter 53,
Right.
section 7 of 53, which will give you the date.
Right. Mike,
I know that since the beginning of this process, we've been trying to streamline this charter to remove things that are redundant with state law. And it seems to me this is a perfect example of where somebody has crafted some fairly straightforward language in 3 paragraphs. I mean, think about what you just read and what you just handed out. If somebody actually wants to understand explicitly what the process is, they gotta read this, then they gotta go read that, and maybe they gotta read something else. And this just puts it in simple English.
Well, some of it's simple, I mean, there's some.
Yeah, you might have.
There's some flaws, but it's better than.
It's simple language that most people can understand. So I'm not in favor of taking that out.
Well, it's not a matter of understanding, it's a matter of legal standing. And, if we're, this can end up, I'm not gonna go to the wall on this, but it's a matter of, what happens with this state law is that there is a handbook in which all of these dates are specified. And so that anyone who has a question about the dates, merely has to go to the town clerk. And the town clerk can easily publish this in the user guide. So the problem isn't keeping the public in the dark. The problem is the legal standing, and it seems like anytime we have twice as many laws butting up against each other, we're in danger of having less clarity rather than more.
Is the legal standing of here wrong?
Is the legal standing wrong?
Wrong, is it this wrong, the legal, because you keep on mentioning the legal standing. Is the legal standing wrong in the way that they wrote this here? Is it misleading or is it?
No.
That was the question.
A little bit,
But
we argued that.
it then, if you look at what it says, in accordance with the requirements of general law, chapter 43A, section 6. They've circled back and said, if you really want to understand this, you have to go to general law, chapter 43, section 6.
Well, but there are only 2 cases that have to be understood, and you could clarify this.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, there's a case of the person running for office for the first time for a seat that's vacant, right? And then there's the case where somebody is holding an office and seeks reelection. And those are the 2 cases you have to cover.
Yeah, I actually don't like that returning town meeting members don't have to go out and collect signatures. I don't understand. We talk about all the time in CFBC about how we should be out engaging our caucus and, you know, some of us do a great job of getting out there and engaging folks. Some of us don't. And I think that I don't know, I mean, if we've accepted this, that is the process, but I hate that provision. I think it's absurd that we allow people to just simply come in and sign a piece of paper and say, I want to be reelected without talking to their constituents at all.
Where does it say in here that if you are a candidate for reelection, you do not need to get not less than 10 registered?
It doesn't say it in
That's
So
chapter
where is-
43, section 43A, section 6, and it takes you
Yeah.
back to 43A
there.
6.
Yes,
Oh,
what
that's
Larry
why I
and
couldn't find it.
Right.
All right.
I mean, that's where that stopped me too. And, you know, so I called Larry and I called Kelly and then I called Larry. You know, we said, okay.
Okay. Election law is complicated. And what Tim said is correct. There's probably nothing wrong here, but it leaves a whole lot of stuff out. And to me, what you want to do, if you're going to get clarity, you want as clear a statement as you can in a user guide. Because this already says the only place that you're going to get clarity is in state law.
Have we determined that there's going to be a user guide? We keep talking about it, but is
Well,
that-
we have voted, we have, you know, we can't tell town meeting what to do, but I don't expect town meeting to turn that down.
Okay.
Len, go ahead.
When was the last time the charter had a review by the state attorney general and the state legislature? Does anybody know?
About a year.
Years ago,
Not long ago.
the
About-
commission,
About a year and a half ago, the last commission.
Yeah,
Right.
but they, yeah.
No, well, they reviewed it for the election, but I'm talking about,
No, at the last commission, before it went to the ballot, the AG had to review it, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it was about a year and a half ago that the proposed charter, the one that failed, that was reviewed by the state.
But
I mean, it was reviewed by more than the state,
It was, yeah, but they were the ultimate authority,
right?
right?
Steve?
again, wait a minute, I'm not done. So again, we have this conflict that where we talk about it being simple. It's not. It's overly confusing. It's contradictory. Maybe they missed this. I don't know whether it was changed in the commission redo of the charter, but this is in conflict. And so we
I don't,
continue. Wait a minute, let me finish, okay? We continue to have these issues where our goal was to try to simplify it. Try not to reproduce state law in our words. I'm not a lawyer. The only guy that I know that's sitting at this table is Steve, and he's, he can decide whether he wants to try to be that person. But again, we have this, I feel like we're caught in this trap that we need to have it be like it was yesterday. The world has changed. The way we communicate has changed. The way we interact has changed. The magnitude of running the town of Plymouth has changed. And so when you ask about this quote guide, I'm not going to call it a handbook anymore. The guide to Plymouth, town meeting approved that position for that communications person. Hopefully that will be one of that person's, things that they need to start looking at and doing and managing. So I get confused about whether or not we're worried about trying to maintain the status quo because we think people aren't, it's just leaving all this stuff that's open and to me confusion. And I would be concerned that maybe this time around the review would catch that and said, look, this is in contradiction to what the state statute says. You have to take it out. That's just my point. Thank you.
So Steve and then Martha.
I'm working on something, on a different issue here as we try and go through this, because as our chair just mentioned, he's not happy with the idea that if you're running for re-election as a town meeting member, you don't need to get signatures, you just need to. I can't find anything here that says that.
That's in state law.
Where?
Oh, you
43A.
just read the
It's
state
not.
laws, what you're saying.
Section 7.
Couldn't find it.
6. Oh,
It's
7.
not in 6.
It might
that's for
be,
sure. It's not in 6, and I'll go a step further,
6A.
which is which again, we have section 541 says the nomination of a candidate for election or re-election as representative town meeting shall be made by separate nomination papers signed by not less than 10%, 10 registered voters of the precinct in which the candidate resides, or in accordance with the requirements of general laws, chapter 43A, section 6, to the extent applicable. That's the sentence that addresses who has to sign nomination papers.
So
Here's
here's candidate for election or re-election.
For re-election. So if you're,
That's odd.
here's section 6. Mr. Pison, you provided it. I have read it 5 times back and forth. It does not under any circumstance indicate that someone running for re-election does not need those same 10 signatures.
but this isn't exclusive. I don't have, it will take,
But our charter, which has been accepted by state, our charter says it's this or this section. Doesn't say or any other section. It's very specific. Again, I didn't write it, so I can't answer as to what the thought process was, whether someone was saying, oh, this or any other general law, but it doesn't say that. And you gotta go by what's written. And what's written here is very clear. 10 registered voters if you're running for election or re-election, or if it doesn't apply in accordance with general laws 43, section 6, to the extent applicable. Section 6, again, does not say no signatures required.
I think town meeting members gotta work for it.
That's been how we've done it otherwise. I don't know what the basis for doing it otherwise. I don't know.
So what do you want to put in here, Steve?
Oh,
Well, it's either something has to go in.
I leave it as is.
I don't have a problem with changing it, and that's, and not changing it, I'm in agreement. I just think it needs to be made clear. I don't think we're doing it right.
I mean, I think
If
this
someone
is,
has an answer for me, I'm sorry, Rob, I did
No,
not
it's
mean to
okay.
interrupt you. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I think it's clear. I think it's clear as it's written.
Right.
However, if um, do I want to say, to clarify it even more, you either take out or reelection, or take out in accordance with the requirements of general law C 43A section
See
6.
this excuse me, in chapter 43A, section 6, it does actually talk about that.
Can you read us the part? Cause I
Please.
can't find it either.
May become a candidate for election by giving written notice thereof to the town clerk not later than 21 days prior to the last day and hour for filing nomination papers.
So a candidate for reelection only needs to notify the town clerk that they want to be reelected.
That's right.
That's where that appears. So that is in chapter 43A, section 6.
So right in the
And is
beginning.
that covered by the phrase to the extent applicable?
Good, so you're right. I mean, it doesn't say, all you gotta do is sign a signature.
But if with the phrase to the extent applicable, it would seem to me that that would be covered.
Right, but these clauses are now in conflict with one another
I mean,
because.
what Kelly says is all you gotta do is come up to the office and sign a paper.
Cause the first clause of the sentence is saying that if you're up for election or re-election, you have to get 10 signatures. And then it says, or in accordance with 43A, which is in conflict with the first clause of that sentence.
Well, I don't think.
Any
it's in
town
conflict.
meeting
I
member.
think it's
to
an
the town
addition.
meeting house, under the provisions of a special statute under which such town is operating immediately prior to the taking effect therein of the standard form of representative town meeting government provided by this chapter may become a candidate by giving. So it says that we have to be operating under the provisions of a special statute to do that. Where's our special statute that does that?
This is, you're asking me to remember 30 years ago, and we did accept, when I arrived at the town clerk's office, this was not a practice. Went to meetings and it was described at a meeting, and I remember checking to see if we had accepted the necessary parts of Mass General Law, and we had. And we've been doing this now for 30 years with the full knowledge of the elections division of the secretary's office.
Which means then we have been operating under one particular, completely ignoring our charter. So our charter is wrong. Because
I
our charter,
think
our
that-
charter describes a provision that we don't follow because we follow something else under state law that we've gotten as a separate thing that nobody knows about. We know to do it, but we have no basis whatsoever. If I went and I had to, if I as Mr. Hutchinson has regularly said, if I am a member of the public and I want to learn about this, I can tell you right now, I could research for 5 hours and never come up with that answer. Because I didn't know that the town adopted something that it has no record of in memory, but for you're sitting here.
Well, I mean, what can I say? I can get you the information because I wouldn't have done it if it weren't legal. But this does say, and this is this element is subsequent to, this is a fairly recent addition to the charter. But it does say, or in accordance with the requirements of chapter 43A, section 6. And chapter 43A, section 6 has this in it.
If we've adopted something which we make no reference to otherwise, that's the problem. I don't have a problem, I'm not asserting that it's wrong, I'm merely saying from the standpoint. If you're right, if we're leaving anything in here, Mr. Hamlin, it has to be clear. You're right, you said this is a clear sentence. Yes, this is an absolutely clear statement. Unfortunately, it's just wrong. Because we don't do this. We do this. And.
So if we,
Hold on, I'm gonna say it.
Well,
Smaller.
Alright, so Steve. If that's the case. What are you suggesting how to fix?
I think unfortunately, against my. Not consistent with our practices and against my desire to be clear for Mr. Hutchinson, Mr. Pies was correct. The language we have here in section 5, 4, 1, 2, and 3 is actually, it's not clearing anything up. It's actually making, it literally, as I sat here, I saw a conflict with state law. We can't have that. That's why we have been removing things that are under state law. If we're operating under state law, and it took me a while to get there, because I needed to figure this out, and that's frustrating, because if I were a member of the public and I read this, and even then if I went and turned and I read this, I'd go, well, okay, how many more statutes do I need to read? And then I have to find out if the town's adopted something and when it adopted it, and have we subsequently, my head would explode.
Well, the reason that we have a town clerk is to be the center of the information on how to operate. Now, I don't think that, that every person who deals with the town has a full understanding of every piece of information that they're dealing with. That's why we have town officials to explain that.
I agree.
Acceptable then, Steve?
Yeah, I agree, and it's not only that, it's that to some degree. I have made every effort to try to join Mr. Hutchinson's positions as we've gone through to say, we need to be clearer, at least when we can in our charter, or moving something to a handbook. This is an instance in which putting it in the charter absolutely makes it less clear. Mr. Pizer in this instance is absolutely correct. So,
Martha, then Mike.
oh, my comment related to what we've been talking about is that, we should remove re-election in our charter, the first sentence, 541. Because that is what's confusing to me, and add something that relates, that says, if you're running for re-election, you can, as it says here, you become a candidate for re-election. Well, it doesn't say re-election by giving notice. I thought that was the one,
Well-
re-election. I didn't read that one carefully enough. Okay. It's where it says here is a candidate for re-election. Well, that's talking about candidate. Where does it say that if you are a candidate for re-election, all you have to do is go to the town clerk's office and sign the paper?
It doesn't say.
It does.
So
It says-
the effect is that it says,
any town meeting member. So
provided however that any town meeting member, including any town meeting member in office under the provisions of a special statute under which such town is operating immediately prior to taking effect therein of this, the standard form of representative town meeting government provided by this chapter may become a candidate for election by giving written notice thereof to the town clerk not later than 21 days prior to the last day and hour for filing nomination papers. That's it. It's a confusing sentence. Steve and I read it several times before.
Cause up here it says any
This-
town meeting member in office, and then blah, 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 and finally it says a candidate for election.
Yeah,
It
the
doesn't say
implication, it should be
re-election.
it should be re-election, this is
All right,
again.
so that's where it is.
Statutory language.
Right.
Like,
There's so many moving parts in this question here between Steve's point, Martha's point, and the point I made earlier. To Martha's point about candidates for re-election, this charter says you gotta get 10 signatures. This says all you have to do is notify the town clerk.
Maybe.
So,
No, it doesn't say that in the charter. It's because it says or.
nomination of a candidate for election
But it
or
says-
re-election.
it says shall.
And then it goes on to say, or in accordance with the requirements of general laws, chapter 43A, section 6. That modifies the part above. I didn't say I like that, but it does say that. And in chapter 43A, section 6, reasonably poorly stated and unclear, but nonetheless, in effect, it says you can do that.
Follow up.
Follow up, I wasn't done to begin.
And then I'm gonna come back to Rob next.
So Steve started out, and that's where I wanted to start. Steve started out saying this was confusing. I think what's confusing is state law says candidates for election need to get 10 signatures. This says candidates for election or re-election.
Right.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but we have the ability to have a charter that's more stringent than state law, but not less stringent. So I would argue this is more stringent because it says election or re-election. Where it's confusing is we don't follow our own practice. State law says one thing, our charter says something a little different, makes it a little stronger or a little
Looser.
stronger, whatever. But we don't even follow our own charter. So that doesn't mean that our charter is not wrong. Or is wrong. It just means we either gotta follow it or we gotta change it.
Hold on a second.
I think I'm done.
Okay, Rob?
I'd like to move the question.
Then let's move to a vote. So just to reiterate, so we started talking about this probably 25 minutes ago. The motion that's on the table right now is to eliminate section 4 in its entirety from 5-4-1 through 5-4-3. Mr. Bulletin, your vote.
Yes.
Mr. Hanlon,
No,
Ms. Cavaco and Mr. Costello are not here. Mr. Hutchinson,
No.
Mr. Lawler,
Yes.
Mr. Levin,
Yes.
Mr. Pyler,
Yes.
Ms. Botrain,
No, because I don't understand all. of
Mr.
it.
Zubaroli.
No,
And I vote yes. The motion carries in a vote of 5 in favor and 4 against. So we are eliminating section 4 of chapter 5 in its entirety. All right, let's move on to section 5-5. I'm sure this one's gonna, actually,
Why is this here?
Thank you, Steve.
And I'll echo that for section 6.
Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman?
yes, Mr. Lawler.
why is,
Did you say on that last vote, did that, so you were removing that?
Yes.
And did that also mean replacing it with this?
So that's
By
already there.
definition, it's
Yeah,
statutory.
it's statutory, so we don't have to take a vote for that because we default to the state statute, yeah. All right, initiative, 5-5-1, any 10 registered voters of the town may secure the inclusion of an article in the warrant for either of the annual representative town meetings by written petition to the select board. At least 100 registered voters may secure the same for any special town meeting.
This
Steve.
doesn't go with our elections, this goes with town meeting.
It does, and it's also completely unnecessary in that it is specifically state law.
It absolutely is.
When you're looking for a motion, I will move to, remove section 5 in its entirety.
I'm happy to take a motion now.
I'll do that.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second it.
Mr. Pizer, motions to remove section 5 initiative. It's been seconded by Mr. Bulletin. Is there further discussion on the matter? Mr. Hanlon?
And make the same point. You know, a citizen of the town of Plymouth. Who wants to put an article on the warrant. Can find it in our charter. Right there, one sentence, two sentences, yeah, two sentences. Versus having to go on the state website and look up some obscure state law. Right. Maybe the town clerk will say, oh yeah, it's chapter 43A, chapter section 7,
Well, 10.
whatever. No, so I'm in favor of leaving it in.
Martha?
But aren't we going to have a guide that will explain things like this? Because that's my assumption, that when we're taking out all this information that is
It'd be in the
important to
handbook.
citizens, whatever we're gonna call it.
Okay, here's a guy, and the answer is I am on your side. On all of these matters, that what we're eliminating ought not to be eliminated from public view. It ought to be placed in a different context in that this is what applies specifically to the town of Plymouth.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
this section 5 doesn't apply specifically to the town of Plymouth, it applies to all 310
no, but
towns.
But it doesn't say it, but it's a citizen petition. And it's, for somebody who's done several,
Yeah.
you know, I think it's an important piece of our,
A power of the citizen,
was that?
a power of the citizen.
Yeah.
That our charter does not provide, the state law does. Mr. Waller?
You know, Martha, I'm kind of on your side of this thing. Sometimes this guy thing is so nebulous, you know?
Yeah, because we haven't
It hasn't created yet. Maybe things might be going into it.
What if we
I'm
don't
not
like it?
sure. What if it doesn't say the right things, right? And
That's the next committee to sign up for.
maybe, that's why I'm starting to look at Mike and saying, it's in front of me. It's right here in writing. I don't have to go somewhere else to get it. I don't know, I'm starting to see this in front of me, it makes more sense. This guide thing,
It goes back.
you
I go back and
still,
forth
you
too.
don't know whether or not, what's gonna be in the guide, we talk a lot about it. Well,
The only thing I can say is that when people have wanted to put articles in town meeting that the select board wasn't interested in, they came to the clerk. That was almost universally the situation. And the clerk is able to respond to a person that step one, you want the select board and FinCom to support your article. Step two, you have this alternative as a fallback to do these things. So, you know, the problem with putting this in is it leaves out the first part. And if you want to get an article passed, the best way of getting it passed is to get either the select board or the FinCom or both to pass it. So putting in pieces of state law doesn't really provide the service to the public that you're hoping that it does.
but this points you in a direction.
Well, that should say go to the clerk's office.
All right, so I'm gonna pause discussion for a moment and insert myself. Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 39, Section 10, which I just searched just now, states in part, the selectmen shall insert in the warrant for annual town meeting all subjects the insertion of which shall be requested of them in writing by 10 or more registered voters of the town. And in the warrant for any special town meeting, all subjects, the insertion of which shall be requested of them in writing by 100 registered voters, or by 10% of the total number of registered voters of the town, whichever number is lesser.
So it's state law.
So it's state law, we've got it covered. I'm gonna go Mike then Joe.
Does that, this question came up, with one of the petitions I did, that the selectmen had the authority, notwithstanding the signatures on a petition, to not insert it in. the
They have
law.
to, they shall, if they get the signatures.
Okay, so they don't have to.
Yep.
Okay, that's good. So then my second point would be, the word initiative in the title, to me, doesn't describe it. It's a citizen's petition.
But if we're striking it, it won't, if we
Yeah.
vote to strike it, we won't need.
Well, I understand, but I'm not voting to strike it, I'm voting to keep it. And
You don't know what the rest of the vote's gonna be.
Yeah, so let's focus on this first, I think, to Mrs. Zuparoli's, point. If it fails, then you can bring up the, issue of its title.
Okay.
Ms. Lawler.
And let's move the question.
All right, so,
Wait a minute,
oh, no, yep, you're right, hold
Yes.
on,
Sorry.
I've been
Okay.
corrected, Joe, you're up.
It's Tim's fault. So I can assure you that writing a user guide is non-trivial. And that it requires expertise external to just a writer, but also to act with subject matter experts like Kelly, like the town council, like a long string of folks who have an interest and a stake in the accurate description of the articles that you're taking out, and then assuming that people are then gonna go to a user guide for it. And, you know, it's gonna be confusing, it's gonna be, I don't know that there's any other user guide in the entire Commonwealth. Is there? Does anybody know?
I gotta tell you, I Googled town, citizen order town,
A bunch of towns do that.
I have,
It
let's
starts
see,
with Weston.
yeah,
Okay.
it goes on to,
Well,
yeah,
we're, you know,
every,
comment is gonna talk about.
the League of Women Voters has
Yeah,
one.
That's actually what I thought.
Yeah,
Well, wait a minute, the League of Women Voters is not a.
No, the statewide legal.
town of Brim, town of
The town of
Pembroke,
legal, well.
town of Pembroke, town of Weston,
Yeah,
town
they're-
of Dover,
they're-
Concord, Winchester,
Okay, your
Upton.
point's taken.
And I can keep going.
Did you get your?
Okay, is this the League of Women Voters who does this?
No,
No, that's
Okay.
every town, so apparently we're one of the only towns that doesn't have a guy.
I wouldn't bet on that, but the long and short is, that it's a process that's very technical, that requires, I think, at the end of it, inspection. For accuracy and appropriateness, and to talk about it just in, a casual breath is inappropriate.
I have something I'd like to say before you move the question, Mr. Lawler.
I wasn't gonna move the question, I was gonna piggyback on what Joe was saying.
So I have a question for the former town clerk. In all the citizens petitions, in all of the time that you served as the town clerk, how many of them started by calling you and say, how do I start a citizen petition?
I'm gonna say 75–80%.
Right, so most folks are not starting at the charter. They're starting with the town clerk's office, which is where they should start. And so I continue to go back to our original philosophy. That was, when we first met, we decided that it was in the best interest of the town that we should remove anything that's duplicative of state statute. So I am in favor of removing this. Mr. Lawler.
I think you took the wind out of my sails.
Sorry. Is there any, and actually, I'll also say, I searched citizen petition on the website. We do have submission requirements, just as those other towns do. So it is elsewhere in publication, so.
Did we ever state as a committee that there will be a user guide?
Yes.
formula?
Yeah, Larry brought a motion forward.
I did.
Larry brought a motion forward, and I think we were discussing the town manager's role, and we voted in favor of that.
I mean, we're being honest, this is what we're proposing to town.
Right. Is there any further discussion on the matter? All right, hearing and seeing none, I'll call the roll. Again, this is to a vote to eliminate section 5-5 in its entirety. Mr. Bolton,
Yes,
Mr. Hammond,
Nope.
Ms. Cavaco, Mr. Costello are not here. Mr. Hutchinson,
No,
Mr. Lawler,
Yes.
Mr. Levin,
Yes,
Mr. Pizer,
Yes.
Ms. Votrine,
Yes,
Mr. Zuccarelli.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. The motion carries with 7 in favor and 2 against. All right, we have come pretty far here tonight. It is 8 o'clock. Our next 2 sections are a little bit more lengthy. The referendum and the recall of elective office holders. Could you just scroll down, Rob? So referendum is a little more than a page, I believe. Oh, 2 pages.
It's long.
Oh,
So, all right, we're going on to 3 pages at this point. So
I'd like to propose we table these until the next time.
is there desire among the committee to keep going? Hearing and seeing none, Mr. Zuccarelli, will you make a motion to table the remainder of our discussion items for the evening?
I will.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Zuccarelli makes the motion and Mr. Bolton seconds. Is there discussion on the matter?
Question, does anyone know if there's statutory language included in these? Mr. Pizer says no.
I don't believe so. I believe this is in Plymouth.
Is there further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the roll. Mr. Bolton,
Yes.
Mr. Hammond,
Yeah.
Mr. Costello, and Ms. Cavaco are not here. Mr. Hutchinson,
yes,
Mr. Lawler,
Yes.
Mr. Levin,
yes,
Mr. Piper,
Yes.
Ms. Votrine,
yes.
Mr. Zuccarelli.
Yes.
And as my tradition, I will vote no. Okay. Is there any new business? Is there any old business? Hearing and seeing none, unless there's objection, I will call this meeting of the Charter Review Committee adjourned at 7:58 PM.